Hi, Rebecca. Today is May 6th. You couldn't make it to your lesson, so I'm happy to create video lessons for my students when they can't come for whatever reason. I'm happy to use your lesson time and do this. It's a great thing. It's obviously not exactly like a lesson. It's different, and in some ways it has a lot that a lesson doesn't have. You can follow along with this anytime. I'm going to show you some things. I'm going to do a little bit of voice today. It's a surprise. I know Mommy was talking to me about adding some voice instruction to your lesson. So we're going to add that today. We get to do things that maybe normally we wouldn't have time for. And again, you get to follow along with stuff. So one of the first things I wanted to do today, I'm going to do my best to angle this down. You certainly don't need to see me. I'm going to show you, Rebecca, I know you've probably started working on it because you're such a great student. So you're probably ahead of me here. I'm going to show you how to play, just so you can see a human being play. I know you have the music. Hand in exercise number 3. Okay, so 2 you had great. 2, remember, is and I think I showed you last week. Number 3 looks like this. I'm going to play first both at the same time, simultaneously, and then I'll show each one to you, right hand and then left hand by itself. This is it. This is hand in number 3, hands together. Now, left hand, I'm going to show you a little higher just so you can see it a little better. This obviously left hand's usually going to be down here, but this is where it'll be. Starting right here like normal, but it's going to look like this. Don't move. 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Try to get my wrist a little bit flexible at least. Now, right hand, I'm going to do it in the same spot so you can see it clearly, but this is right hand. 1, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. So instead of trilling, like number 2 did, it comes like a wave or like a boomerang. See, and that's when I don't want to stop. Now, coming down, 5, 2, not 5, 3 like would be logical. Double check my wrist. It should be flexible enough that when I play, it's like up and down. Because again, especially any repetitive motion, obviously, there's a tendency, like with anything else, typing or anything, the repetitive motion is going to make us more susceptible to locking, either here or here, So with Hanon especially, scales too, but Hanon especially, Hanon is wonderful. It's very strengthening, but it is repetitive. So repetitive patterns mean locking sometimes. So just always kind of, do a little diagnostic as you're going up. And of course, your number one. And you can do fun things. I don't know if I mentioned this, but you can do really fun things like which really exercises your hands in a different way from legato. You know what I mean? Staccato is totally different. You've got timing, coordinating. That staccato is much harder, I think. In other words, coordinating the timing and playing both at the same time with both hands is way harder. With little trampolines. It should be fun. Okay, so those are Hanon. That's your Hanon number 3. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm so glad you're liking those because they're excellent for you, excellent for technique. And again, when the first one, especially now, when you play it and it gets boring, it should be boring. That's when you begin to think, that's when we could begin to think of, again, what part of our finger is touching the key. Is my wrist loose? Are my fingers rounded? Is my thumb round? Make a C, not a V. Okay, it's a saying in hand to make a C, not a V. Okay, so is my thumb rounded? Is all of these things, am I coming down from my shoulders? In other words, am I using all the weight of my shoulders? That kind of thing. Okay, so I also wanted to share with you too, because we would have gone over this too. Once again, just so I guess you can see it. I know I've shown you a couple times, but just that style of playing that we talked about, right? That deconstructed chord, I guess you can call it. C. So if you take the C chord, it would be C, G, C. And then I always say you can play the E with the right hand. But I wanted to show you another way, a slight variation. It's really small, but it's a lot of fun. It's where you do exactly the same thing, but then you go D, E. So in other words, once you get to the top note of just the first 3 notes, that third note, just continue up 2 more. So that was C. So C, G, C, D, E. Let's go to G. G, D, G, A, B. Let's go to A minor. This actually sounds great. This is a great progression. If you want to write a song, just throwing that out there. A, E, A, B, C. And I'm using that same crossover technique and same technique that we normally would with classical, right? Just keep healthy. A, E, A. Hide the thumb, no twist. See how I twisted the first time? A, E, A, B, C. Now back to C. C, G, C, D. G, D, G, A, B. A, E, A, B, C. And then maybe F. F, C, F, G, A. And then add on the block chord maybe in the right hand. Let's see how this sounds. Then I'm in A minor. Then I'm F. I messed up there. Maybe F now. Then A minor. So a different way to play your chords. You've done such a good job with that deconstructed chord. I know that's going to take a little bit of time. It's funky, I know. But you're going to do it. It's going to be great. So just think deconstructed and just play this right chord one time in the right hand. Just play this block. Now, switching over to voice. So one of the first things we're going to do together, my voice is still not 100%. I don't know what these allergies are. So I'm not going to be a great example, but I wanted to show the first exercise I show any of my voice students. And that's a hum. Okay. So usually when we hum, our teeth are together, our lips are together, and the sound comes out of our nose, and it sounds like my tongue is on the roof of my mouth. So I'm making a pitch, but there's really not a lot of projection. Humming can teach us to put the voice forward in the face, which is not English, it's not grammatically correct. But it's something called frontal resonance. That is real. Frontal resonance. That means resonate in the front of your face, not in the back. So humming and real singing hum teaches us this. In a real singing hum, our teeth are actually apart slightly, but they are apart. They're not together at all. Now they're not touching. Our lips are touching, but just barely. And you're going to feel it all along your face, especially your lips. A little bit near. So now it's more mouth, less nose. And the old hum, it was a lot of nose. It was nasal, right? So I want you to, we're just going to do a simple 5-note exercise on the new hum. Teeth apart, lips barely touching. If you feel a buzz, you know you're doing it right. Feels almost tickly. Copy me. And be slidey all the way down. Okay. Now, why did I just do that? Okay, so I could have gone back down, right? But the reason I had you slide down like that is because it's one of the principles of really healthy singing is we never want to stay up in an upper loft of our voice. We never want to stay in an upper register of our voice after we're done singing. What happens is that over time, if we sing, and you're going to sing a lot of stuff, once we sing a lot of high stuff, it can actually get permanently stuck up there and cause something called muscle tension dysphonia, which is just pretty much where your voice box is stuck in an up position like this, when it really should just be relaxed. So every time you end an exercise, or let's say a song ends on a note that feels kind of high, you're just going to kind of feel it. That feels high, don't stay there. Don't end the song on a high. So even if you end the song on a high note, don't end the song on a high note. Don't leave your voice that way. You have to put your voice away by going, ooh, or even better, a lip trill. A lip trill is also called lip bubbles. Sometimes we do it when we're kids. Little kids do it when we're being silly. If you blow your air through your lips just like that, like a horse. Some people get it right away. Some people take weeks. Do not feel bad if you do not get it right away. I had a student for 8 years. She never did it. I don't know if she just didn't try hard enough, didn't want to. I don't know. In 8 years, she didn't do it. So please, work on it little by little. Work on it first without pitch, and then work on it with pitch. And then work up to. And eventually you'll be doing it from your lowest note to your highest note and all the way back down. It's crazy. Now, a couple things. One, that lip trill, there was a young guy, probably about my age, younger, early 30s. He said he did that, he was warming up like that in his car and felt lightheaded. It's very effective. It requires breathing, but it can make a lot of people lightheaded. Okay, so don't do it for too long, and maybe don't do it while driving. That's what I told my students now, because that guy said he almost passed out while he was driving doing that. So just be careful. And you can overdo it. So we can do lip trills. I mean, it's like real singing. And it may become a little bit, it's fun to do, sort of, but if you overdo it, you can wear out your voice as if you've been singing, talking that long. But I do encourage it daily for all my students. I'd say max 4 or 5 minutes. So this way your bottom voice gets exercise, your middle voice gets exercise, and your high voice gets exercise. What's cool about lip trills is that lip trills tell us what notes we actually have. In other words, there are notes that we can lip trill that you probably we would not be courageous enough to sing. Or we might not even have the air supply or the air energy, breath energy to make the note happen. But lip trill requires it. So the lip trill ensures that you have enough breath behind all your notes to be able to do it correctly. It's really cool. So all your questions, you can, of course, email me anytime this week about any of this, and I will be happy to explain any of this to you. And if you like, we can start voice, and you can answer, we'll do a little voice in your lesson next week, but it's totally up to you. I just thought this would be a fun way to sort of get you started. I know you've sung before, of course, you're a singer, but these are how my exercises go, and you'll find that your singing just improves tremendously, especially those lip trills. But the hum is important too. So a little bit of humming every day, a little bit of lip trill every day, you'll be golden. Your hand in, of course. So your hand in exercises 1, 2, and 3 are going to be awesome. And then again, you're playing around beautifully with your chords. It's going to be wonderful. I can't wait to see you next week. I'll see you next Monday.